Hold on. Oh, there we go. All right, now we're live. Sometimes it takes a minute. Hey, everybody, welcome to this episode of Think Business. I'm looking forward to talking with Hadi Radwan. Thanks for calling in from London. I know it's the time is a little bit different, but you're a serial entrepreneur, venture builder, and an insurtech expert, founder of Asteya. What's the name?
Asteya, yeah.
Yeah, Asteya. Right there. Sorry, an insurance company that aims to make income insurance accessible to everyone. Um, Income protection, I think, is something that maybe people aren't thinking about. As a business coach, Hadi, I always like to provide people information that gets them unstuck, and having guests on this show that can also provide them content and wisdom that will get them unstuck. So when it comes to, and thanks for taking time to be on the show, when it comes to looking at income protection, what should people be thinking about that they're not?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. And thank you for having me on the show, John. Basically, a lot of people have a misconception about income insurance, or what is known in the US as disability insurance. Most of the people think that they don't need it because, well, who is ever going to have an accident? Everyone's invincible these days. But the reality is, 90% of disabilities come from illnesses. So these are things like musculoskeletal issues, diabetes, cancer. These are illness related matter. And the moment something bad happens to us and we're stuck at home, our income is exposed. We cannot earn our income, and we're at literally a problematic place in time, because you have mortgages, you have children, you have lifestyle expenses. What do you do with all of these, right? You need your income to protect you. But the reality is, a lot of ads have focused primarily on life insurance, because they say, hey, what would happen to your family if you die? The reality is, disability is much more recurrent than death during your career lifetime. And this is what people needs to be protected for more than life insurance. So we're on a mission to make it more accessible, to educate the market around the importance of it, and we make it very simple and easy to buy it. If you go to our website or through third parties, you can buy it with few minutes. You enroll, you put your credit card, and you're now protected.
Yeah, Hadi, I never thought about disability insurance until COVID, and then during COVID, I got it because it just made me think about, you never know what tomorrow could bring, and so that's a very scary thought. I don't even really personally like saying that, but to even put that out there, right? That something may happen, but sometimes we need to talk about that. We need to think about that. And so, how do you get people thinking about uncomfortable things when they're comfortable?
That's the hard part, right?
Yeah.
And that's why insurance generally is hard to sell if you're going direct to consumer. And we've seen that industry rely on third party to sell it, because you need someone to remind you of the fear of something happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
They need to remind you or associate that reminder with someone close to you. Hey, what would happen if you die and your children don't have any one to take care of? So there is that fear element that has always embedded in the insurance industry. We believe if you educate the people and show them the statistics, they would come to their senses and say, yes, I need it today. Maybe I don't need it when I'm young, but probably when I start a family, or I'm in my late 30s, 40s, when these morbidity ratios start to go up, whereas the diseases become more and more recurrent. And now we're working remotely, all of us, after COVID. Some people went back to work, but the reality is we're always sitting behind the desk.
Yeah.
So if you don't use it, you lose it. This is like a very, very known phrase, right? And that's very clear to your muscles. If you don't use them, you lose them with time. And I think this is why people need to start thinking, okay, let me have this layer of protection, because if something happens to me in the future, at least I'm not exposed.
Right. Let me ask you a question. You talk about education, which I think is really important, and raising people's awareness, to just get them more educated and get them to a place where they all of a sudden realize, hey, this is something I need. How many times do people need to see bits of education, right? 10 times, 20 times, 30 times 3 months, 3 years? How long does it take to educate someone before they raise their level of awareness in your industry?
Yeah, there's no science behind that, but I think, from my experience, it should be more than 5 touch points. And primarily, the way it needs to be structured is you need to show the benefit, you need to show the value proposition, you need to show a little bit the return on their investment. And a lot of people think about insurance, it's a sunk cost. They're sending the money, probably they're never going to see it. And that's why it's very important to trust the party you're giving the money. And in reality, insurance has a very bad NPS score. People associated always with something negative, because the moment you need an insurance is when you have something bad happen to you. So you have this negative association. You have a car accident, you go claim for your auto insurance, there's that negative association. You're waiting for the insurance company to pay you, when in reality you always have trusted the company with a promise. You gave them your money. That's the reality with insurance. You give the money for someone in advance,
Yeah.
and they promise you in the future that if something happens, they're going to pay you out. So there is a disconnect here. And that's why with insurance, it's very hard to sell it unless you have someone you trust. And this is where the third parties, the brokers, the agencies play a big role when it comes to selling insurance.
Yeah.
And I think by aligning your incentive with the intermediaries incentive and then the customer, you get that touch point of 5 to 7 to convince people to come on board.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of the thing you invest in and hope you never have to use it. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Last question before I move into a quick speed round. As a business owner today, you had mentioned that, your team is virtual. How are you managing a virtual team and scaling and growing your business during, as you're all hybrid?
It boils down to the hiring process and making sure you get the right people on the bandwagon. Because if you get people who take advantage of the virtual world, it's not going to work. So we have a set of principles when we interview people. We make sure that they somehow are in that principle, let's say, ecosystem. You never get it right 100%, but that starts from the hiring process, making sure you're getting on board the right team. Then the second item is you have the right tools in place. If you have the right tools where people are comfortable using them, like Zoom, Teams, other remote tools, no-code tools that have been very instrumental to us, that's the second layer of making that success. And then finally, I believe it's a matter of putting the right KPIs in place and then trusting your people to do that. So at our company, we're not an 8 to 5 job. We're very flexible on timing. We tell people that from day one, you can run your errands, but at the end of the day, here's what we expect from you.
Right.
And we expect you that you bring them on board and go to the finish line with them. And at the end of the day, some people can finish them with 1 hour, some people take 1 week, but we're not micromanaging, hand-holding people. We're setting KPIs, we have tools, and then we're focusing on the hiring process.
Good. I love it. All right, quick speed round. Book that's had the biggest impact on you.
I'm big on Stoics philosophy, and I've been reading Ryan Holiday's books. Ego is the enemy, obstacle is the way. He has a set of products, and I love his books because they shape the way you think. And if you take the learnings from the Stoics philosophy and you apply it to business, it allows you to surpass certain obstacles and frame them in a way different than how other people treat their business.
Yeah, no, I agree. I love his books too. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
That's a tough one because I've gotten a lot of them, but I think the most important one is on failure. The way you phrase failure is very important. If it lets you, if you consider it as a failure, you're never gonna recover from it. I like to consider it as a learning. So whatever is an obstacle, if you can turn it around and see what's the opportunity behind it, that would be an amazing way to move forward and be successful.
I love it. Hadi, tell everybody who your ideal clients are and how they can connect with you and your company.
Yeah, so we're looking to expand our business by focusing on third-party agents, broker, IMOs who believe in our mission and they want to reach their customers and help them protect their income. So at Asteya, we're a hybrid organization. We look and feel like a direct-to-consumer entity, but behind that, we're powered by all of these agents. We build a platform for them so that they can feel safe and sell our products to their customers.
Yeah. I love it. Well, I appreciate you taking time to be on the show, Hadi, and share your thoughts. In community, we talked about, extracting one thing that can maybe get you unstuck. Something that I'll share that I think, Hadi, you shared, which is really important, is setting expectations with your team. And whether your team is hybrid or in the office or coming back to the office, it's really important to set expectations and also think about what you need to do to protect yourself before it's too late. You got to be forward thinking and forecasting so many things. We also have to forecast ourselves. So, Hadi, I appreciate you taking time to be on the show. Think community. If Hadi can help you, please reach out to him. And Hadi, any last thoughts?
Thank you for having me on the show. If people want to reach us, we're at asteya.world. And I'm always available on LinkedIn if anyone needs any advice on their business.
Awesome. Thank you very much, everybody. Have an awesome day and a productive day. All right. Thanks, Hadi.
Thank you, John. Have a great day.